CZ and Nick have another guest on commentary on this week's card subject to change. Today they welcome to the studio a man who likes to shake it. He's the Phallic Phenom, Matt Mayday. Card Subject to Change is presented by the For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network, where you can catch the latest episodes of Educated Ignorance, The Data Lab, Card Subject to Change, and other great podcast content. We now take you ringside with the Wizard and the Honorable One.
That's right. The Honorable One is back this week, medically cleared and ready to join my tag team partner, CZ, for yet another interview. Last week, CZ won a solo match with Merrick Brave, and we got such rave reviews. We booked another quick interview, and I'm going to let Chris take it from here.
Yeah, and we've got Matt Krotch Mayday. We're putting Krotch into a handicap match. Sorry about that, Krotch. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm great. What's shaking, guys?
Oh, not much here. Just anxious and excited to get to talk to you for a bit. My first question has got to be, every hip shaking hero has an origin story. How did you get into loving wrestling as a fan?
Loving wrestling as a fan?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one I think most like children of the 80s, it just kind of was there always. Like, I don't really remember the first time I watched wrestling, but I just always remember it being there. And yeah, just as soon as I can remember remembering things, I loved Hulk Hogan because that's just kind of what you're supposed to do when you were a child in 1980, 83, 84, 85, So, I mean, that's my first recollection going, oh, wrestling's cool. This is awesome.
Well, Krotch, I'm guessing when you say it was always around, and when you state those years and being a child of the 80s, I'm one of those as well. It was probably always on in the background, like on Sunday mornings, right, or on Saturday mornings. You would stumble across it on a rare occasion, Saturday night's main event. I'm guessing unless you had cable television back then.
Oh, no, I didn't have cable for most of my youth. So it was honestly the bulk of viewing was so my dad was in a cover band with a guy whose wife owned the only video store in the town I grew up in. And so we get to like rent a bunch of videos and stuff from there. And they happen to have a pretty good selection of, Coliseum videos and whatnot. So like that was where I digested most of it. But yeah, then you'd catch stuff, you'd catch the recap shows, and then they'd have, Saturday night's main event would pop up here and there. So, I mean, I was watching those.
Krotch, I'm glad you mentioned the video store story. You had it in a video store. I grew up a block and a half from one. So anytime there was a new release, that was the place to be. And kids today don't understand that you went to a video store and got a video of a show and popped it into a VCR and watched it. So you telling me that made me remember my youth going to a block and a half away to the video store and getting my hands on all the stuff that I could.
Oh yeah, we were in walking distance of it too, and it was a good time. I mean, I can remember when we first were like renting from there, like we had to rent the VCR as well because they were so expensive when they first came out. Like, man, we turned this into an old man interview real quick, didn't we? Oh boy.
Well, hey, it doesn't make CZ and I feel as bad if we've got another old guy with us, so we can just kind of sit here and go down memory lane together.
I suppose. All the 20-year-old podcast followers would be real sad, though. Like, what are these guys talking about?
Oh, so you're saying we're not hitting the key demo, Krotch?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many views it gets.
I mean, we're I think all three of us are children of the 80s. You mentioned Hulk Hogan. Some of my biggest memories are watching Saturday night's main event during the whole Mega Powers storyline. That was great.
Yeah, that was a big one. I'll distinctly remember until like I can't remember what it was or where it was, but like there was one particular like beatdown that Savage really put on Hogan at some point there. I don't remember if it was in a match or what, and I just remember as a child just be like, "Oh my God, no, Savage, what are you doing?"
So how did you transition from being a fan into moving into a role as a wrestler? What made you want to join the business, and what ultimately brought you in?
So I mean, like most people, I think like most wrestlers of my age, there was a little bit of backyarding involved. None of mine was like anything like super dangerous or cool or really anything. But yeah, there was just we were over at a buddy's house like in high school, and one of his older brother's buddies was big wrestling fan, and he started, we were just like talking trash back and forth, and eventually it ended up with me in a Texas cloverleaf in their front yard, and I was like, hey, this hurts and is awesome, so this is what I'm going to do. And then yeah, we just did a bunch of that.
You just said the Texas cloverleaf, man. That's music to my ears.
Yeah, he just put me right in a Texas cloverleaf. I'm like, oh God, what's happening? But yeah, it's a good time, and we did that. I mean, we did that off and on for, I don't know, probably 5 years. But I mean, it was just garbage and it was stupid, and I realized pretty quickly it was lame. So I was just trying to find like, well, there's got to be something better than this. And I was farting around on the internet, and I was just trying to look up different, like if there was any other, like, honestly, even if they were just like backyard wrestlers, I was just looking for like-minded people in Iowa that was like near me. And I happened to find the SCW website that they just put up because they were just about to run their first official show. They just got their ring and all that good stuff. They got the date set for that August show. And the great thing was that on everybody, they made profile pages for all the wrestlers too, which were just real cute. I wish the website still existed because it was something else. But it had everybody's AOL Instant Messenger name on there. So I was just like, all right, screw it. I started instant messaging these guys. And Nevin Knoxville, who SCW fans will probably remember, he just told us just to come to the show because obviously he wanted us to be paying customers. So he's like, yeah, show up. We'll talk to you after the show. So me and God, we're going back into the vaults for SCW names, but my buddy Tank Roberts and two of our other friends, we all went to the show, and we talked to them, and they kind of took us into the fold, and it all started just kind of with SCW there. So
you went down memory lane there with some names.
Absolutely.
And we were kind of chuckling before you joined in here in the studio, Krotch. We were talking about shows we went to back at Beyond the Baseline. And I know that might date us here, but all those names you say, it's like, yep, I remember that guy. Yep, I remember that guy. So, man, this is great. I'm glad you were able to make it on here and just knocking it out of the park right now. We're talking about VHS releases. We're talking about SCW, old school wrestlers. And before I go any further, Chris asked his next question. You made a comment about backyard wrestling. And you kind of said it begrudgingly under your breath because now that's kind of like a scarlet letter, right? Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is now. But if there wasn't backyard wrestling for you, Krotch, what would have been the next step? I mean, it was, pardon my pun here, backyard wrestling was such a springboard for so many wrestlers of that time. But it wasn't all bad. I mean, now people look at it and say it was all trash and bad, but there was plenty of good that came out of it.
Yeah, I guess years ago it was probably frowned upon much worse. And really the only problem nowadays I see with like anybody that said they did backyard wrestling is if they're, I don't know, if there's a level of pride that some people can take in it where it's like, all right, buddy, that's a little much there. But then also if they're just stuck doing that, if you're not trying to move forward out of it, that's also a problem too. But I mean, I guarantee you, if you went to an indie show, any indie show of the past like 15 years and asked every wrestler if they did any backyard wrestling before they got trained, and I would say probably at least 3/4 of them would say they did, because it just kind of was like, that was kind of the first step,
Well, it wasn't like wrestling schools were popping up on every corner making themselves readily available, right?
I mean, yes and no. There's always somebody looking to take somebody's money.
Right. Like you're
Which, by the way, Black and Brave is not trying to do. Oh yeah.
Like you're going to take my money on Saturday night at the Walcott Coliseum, right?
Oh no, it's a good exchange of goods. I
Absolutely.
promise. Well,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I guess
I vouch for it. But no, I got what you mean. I mean, I'm backyard wrestling got such a, it gets such a bad name for so long, but it was the only alternative for some people, and it, really turned into good for so many.
Yeah. Well, and I think like, especially for me, like I watch some of the kids now, and they jump right into the, Black and Brave school, and it's like, it's an intense situation to just like jump head first into. And I admire all of them for being able to like at least try to do it, let alone graduate from it and then become a successful pro wrestler. For me, I don't know if I could have gone directly into full-fledged proper wrestling training right off the jump, So like, it's nice having backyard wrestling, as terrible and stupid and lame as it was. Like, I feel like it was a good like baby step for me to take, because in all honesty, SCW was kind of the same way too at first. There was some training involved, but like nobody had been trained what I would call like proper training. Like some people had gone to some camps, and some people had went and got trained in Chicago, but they got their money taken. Like basically they showed up, they had to bump a bunch, maybe they got shown how to do a couple moves, but they didn't really get taught how to do what wrestling is. So really, like, SCW was a good second step for me too at first, before I actually went and got some proper training from Danny Daniels, because that's when I say I've been doing it. It'll be 19 years next month, but I've been doing it properly since January of 2006, because that's when I was fully trained by Danny, and Danny was the one that really, he really set most of us on the right path from SCW.
So you mentioned Danny Daniels as your trainer. We've mentioned a lot of old school names from both SCW. You mentioned Macho Man. You mentioned Hulk Hogan. Who are your influences, both on the big stage and outside of, like on the independent stage? Who do you really look to as your inspiration?
Oh, just as far as work and stuff, it's just the big guys, the guys that always get heralded as the best, just Sean and Rick. I personally believe that those are the two best wrestlers that have ever lived. And then, obviously I took a lot of inspiration from X-Pac. I loved X-Pac once I got into my teens, and really just all the DX fellas. I just really clearly, just farting around in front of a bunch of people and being inappropriate, spoke to me in some way. And so I just, embraced all that. And honestly, like outside of wrestling and stuff too, that's the thing. A lot of wrestlers will look at like different forms of entertainment to get inspiration. And especially like earlier on, I took a lot of inspiration from Shemp from Three Stooges and Bruce Campbell. So
all good names.
This might be the first time I've ever heard a wrestler reference Shemp, but I love the reference. I love it.
If you don't think R-Truth is stealing bits from the Stooges, you're crazy, right?
No, right, bro. I love the Shemp reference. I like how you say you talk about Rick and Sean, and then like X-Pac. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because if someone's walking into an SCW Pro show, they've never seen Krotch wrestle. I think it's not them saying, "Oh, he's a ripoff of X-Pac." I think you work that moveset, that type of style so well, it makes people naturally say that. First time I ever laid eyes on you, I'm like, yeah, he reminds me of X-Pac, the way he moves, and that's not a knock. That's X-Pac, the guy who I think can work with any size of a guy. And being able to be the size, because Krotch isn't the biggest wrestler on the card. Krotch isn't the smallest, but Krotch able to move around like an X-Pac does really shows the scale, the skill of the size of guys you can get in there with. I
appreciate that. I will never, ever be insulted by somebody saying they that I remind them of X-Pac. I mean,
I love X-Pac. I love X Factor most of all, and their cheesy theme music. But yeah, I really love
Big Uncle Cracker guy, eh?
That theme is so bad.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I've always thought that. From back in the day, even until now, I see the last Walcott show, and I kind of it just that's what makes me think of it. I hope you take that as a compliment. It is not a diss, because I think John
110%.
All-time great entertainers.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I'll never be insulted if somebody says I remind him of X-Pac. That dude he's one of the best. He doesn't get enough credit either. Like, I'm going to start nerding out wrestling wise, but he's just, if you go back and watch his stuff, especially like when he came back to WWE from WCW, like they put him in there with everybody that needed help. Like, if you watch it, like D'Lo Brown, new guy, X-Pac was carrying him through. Shane McMahon, you needed somebody very good to work with Shane McMahon back in the day, and X-Pac could just carry him through matches. He does not get the credit he deserves. And he gets a lot of credit now, but it's still not enough. He's just tremendous.
He does get a lot of credit, and then hey, he was kind of the odd couple pairing with Kane long before Daniel Bryan was, and those guys made a run of that. That was entertaining.
Yep, absolutely. He knew what he was doing.
Credit. You're right. This went from VHSs. Now it's the X-Pac Appreciation Podcast, and I'm totally cool with that.
There's not enough of those.
There's not.
And I'll be honest, I look at X-Pac as kind of a gatekeeper for younger talent, and I can look at you the same way, especially since you're one of the trainers. You're helping these new young talents come along, and you're also going in the ring with them at live shows and helping them even more.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see if I'm helping them.
Well, I mean, you talk about take the fan hat off for a second. Let's put the training hat on. And you said back when you were properly trained, how much has the training side changed the look of the business for you? What I mean is, Kid A comes off the street. Kid A's got decent talent. How long, is it up to him, her, and how long are you going to put into that kid? I'm just saying Kid A as a reference before you want to see something in return. And the reason I ask this, like NXT 2.0 recently, they're rushing people up. They don't have, guys. They're not getting, enough TV time, so to say. That's not the deal here at the SCW Pro. But Kid A comes in, decently talented. How long do you think it's going to take him before they can turn around and start helping out and start, going out there and being a spot on the card?
You mean just to how long would it take a person to be show ready?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, you talked about being properly trained, and training back then was different than now. So
I mean, yes and no. I'm kind of a stalwart, and I'm sure there are some schools that the training probably is vastly different than what we got from Danny. But I'll be honest, at Black and Brave, we kind of so. I don't want to get too deep into the details of how we do our stuff, but the major inspiration for the training comes from it's pretty similar to what Dr. Tom has always preached, and then we just do what Danny did, because honestly Danny had a really good training program. He did a very good job, I thought, with us, and Danny was trained by Al Snow, and a lot of people say a lot of things about Al Snow and just kind of the way he behaves towards people. But as far as wrestling knowledge goes, Al is one of the smartest guys out there. And he trained a lot of guys that then became great trainers themselves, like Danny. Truth Martini also trained under Al Snow. So he's actually responsible for a ton of very good wrestling out here. So, and we just kind of we've actually kind of patterned it the same. And I know wrestling does evolve and there are a lot of new things going on, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a story being told with pro wrestling. So you still kind of have to do it the same because that's what it is. Like that's our bag, you know. So
you got back to it. Stories being told, right? Do you find talent as a whole has it people evolve? I mean, athletes now are bigger, faster, stronger than they were 20 years ago. Natural charisma. I know it's hard to duplicate, but it just seems like everywhere you look, people are more charismatic. Is that something that, people are born with it, but how much of that can you teach?
Actually teaching it, like there's a lot of stuff we can tell people, but
right,
man, it's hard to that. It's really stuff you just kind of got to figure out yourself because everybody's interesting, everybody's entertaining in their own way, and like it's we can't teach everybody the same way to be entertaining. You kind of really just have to figure that out yourself. Like we can help out, but at the end of the day, you got to figure out what about you is fun or cool or entertaining or just makes people want to pay money to see you. So
and
that is the tricky part.
And how can you add to the story?
Mm-hmm.
And gentlemen, we're going to have to. Oh, sorry, Nick. Yeah.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to take a quick time out here. We gotta pay our dues just like the younger wrestlers do. I'm going to throw things over to Joe Winkle. Talking about our For Fantasy's Sake team.
Make sure you tune into For Frequency's Sake on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch each Sunday during the football season from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. The boys from For Fantasy's Sake will be bringing the fire fantasy football takes, updating you on the week's rankings and injuries, and getting you ready for your fantasy football matchups each and every week. The show is interactive, so be sure to send your questions. You can find them at For Frequency's Sake on Facebook, at FFSQC on Twitter, or you can send them an email at forfantasysakeqc@gmail.com.
Thank you, and welcome back. We are talking to Krotch here on the Card Subject to Change podcast. Krotch, we were talking a little bit about the training. We don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but talk about this as a trainer. You're not a wrestler here. You're not a fan. How many days a week are you in the ring working, and kind of take us through a normal day as a quote unquote trainer?
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time at the gym. I'd say I'm there from the time the door opens to the time the door closes, 3 days a week. And then there will be a couple other days while I'll be popping in here and there. And I guess I'm in the ring, but I'm going to tell you, like, I don't know if I've just had some bad luck or what's going on here, but I don't move around. Like, I can talk a lot and I can help you and tell you how to do things, but I got to save physical movement for the shows at this point. I don't know what's going on, but I have to be very calculated with what I'm doing. But
sure.
I'm there a lot. I'll talk to guys as long as they want to hear me talk, and I'll work them through some stuff.
You talk about you can't, you're saving your, hey, X-Pac can't move as well as he once did. So don't look at it as a knock as getting older. Just look at it as, hey, X-Pac can't move around the way he used to either.
I mean, I guess, but I bet he wants to, and I want to.
you know? And you can still move better than most guys your age. I'm sure of it. So not too shabby in your own right, but you're in the gym working. You're working people. I understand you're not in the ring working the whole time. What excites you most? What excites you about having that role? Obviously, it being around the other wrestlers and driving them. But what excites you the most about having that role that you do, Krotch?
Oh, I mean, it's probably just watching people succeed from the school. I mean, it's just. I don't know. I like kind of, a lot of people really helped me. Like I got a lot of help from a lot of guys when I was really running around hard, and got to do a lot of things that I never imagined I'd do. And just to be able to like maybe potentially make that happen for other people, that's just great. I look at just some of the guys that we've got, with some of the successes they've had, and it's just great, and hopefully I've played a part in that and helped them kind of get to, the next level, and hopefully the levels beyond that if they keep rolling. So, easily I'd say it's just being able to, help somebody be the best person they want to be as far as wrestling goes.
So, Matt, I kind of want to transition. I think we're just talking over each other. Sorry
no, we're
that.
not. Going right ahead. I was
transition
taking
back to put your. I want to put your fan hat back on. Let's pretend that Peacock, WWE Network, none of that exists. We're still doing VHS tapes. You're sitting at home. You want to put on some wrestling. What's your go-to VHS that you're putting in from the last 30, 40 years?
Oh, geez, I don't know. That is, it does become harder to look through wrestling from a fan's lens nowadays, just because I'm so used to looking at it analytically, just because that's kind of what you have to do once you start doing it. And then also I've just seen so much at this point. It's like people will grumble and whine about stuff on TV nowadays, and it's like they'll say it's bad. It's like, no, it's not bad. You've just seen it 5 times already, and it's very hard to do new things in pro wrestling. So you're just bored of it. It's not bad. You just have seen it before. So, but at the same time, yeah, it makes it hard to enjoy it like you used to. But, I don't know. I guess anything. I'm not the hugest AEW fan, but anything Brian touches is gold. So, I guess anything with Bryan Danielson on it, I would watch and love it probably. He's yet to disappoint me since he started wrestling. So,
you talked about the VHS thing as a kid. What was your favorite? What was your favorite old show that you watched as a kid? One that you kind of watched over and over, maybe knew word for word or move for move.
Well, it's not actually a wrestling event. Did you guys ever see that Degeneration X VHS they put out?
Yes,
it was super inappropriate and wasn't censored.
Yes, I do remember that.
My God, I read that so many times. It was so funny. Just that. So to get the Bill Clinton spoof video that Sean and Hunter did, but to get it unedited, God, it was so funny. It was so funny.
I remember that VHS. It was with Triple H in China and Sean on the cover, correct?
Yep.
The green and black cover. Oh my goodness!
I believe Sean was wearing nothing but the belt, as Sean is one to do.
That's right. Oh man, I remember that one very distinctly. Good call on that one. Good call.
It's so funny. It was so funny.
It is, and you're right.
Sure.
They couldn't get away with that stuff. They couldn't get away with that stuff today.
They couldn't get away with it now. It's just I remember there was at one point they're just walking around through a trailer or something. It was some of the new footage they did for the actual video, and Road Dogg and Billy Gunn are just walking around, and Road Dogg says to the cameraman, "Hey, wait, how PG or PG-13 are we here on this podcast? How PG-13 are we? Can I say this story? I need to make sure I can get away with it."
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, so Road Dogg and Billy Gunn are just walking down this hallway in a trailer or something, one of the broadcast booths or something. And Road Dogg's he turns back and says to the cameraman, "Hey, did you see that down there?" And then the cameraman looks down, and then Road Dogg just puts his junk right in the camera and goes, "Cockshot, gotcha." I'm just this is so inappropriate. These are grown men making at least 6 figures, and they're just being children. I loved it. I loved it.
And you know what? I did too. And definitely place and time. You're good, TC.
I think I know the answer to this already based on our conversation. What's more important to you when you're watching wrestling? Is it a good story or is it a good match?
Well, I don't think you have a good match if you don't have a good story. So,
That's fair.
Because that's all it is, right?
It's
just you're just telling stories.
A few weeks ago. Well, yeah, you have to have that story. I know Nick and I talked a few weeks ago about the AEW's Battle of the Belts and how things are just kind of thrown together at the last minute. It doesn't have the same feel as some of the older shows. Like you look back at Clash of the Champions. So I completely agree. You got to have that story to make the match, but at the same time, the match is enhancing the story. They kind of work hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, to me the match is like so the story's the destination. If you're going to Walmart, that's your destination. The story's Walmart, but like the match is, I mean, you got to get there somehow. So the man, you hop in the car, match is the car. That's the vehicle you're using to tell your story.
I never looked at it like that way before. But that's a wonderful analogy. No, I mean, dead serious. That's a wonderful analogy to think about it like that, because so many people want action. But anytime you watch a show, regardless of the product, you want to believe and think that how stuff's put together, it's going to correlate. It's going to correlate with obviously an upcoming show, maybe a show 3 months down the road. But yeah, everything kind of has a purpose, and that's what everything you hope has a purpose. That's why I like about wrestling. I want to be genuinely surprised, so you kind of follow along with everything. So when that surprise does come, you're right. But yeah, the story of the match thing, they're kind of like the hammer and nail. They both need each other, right?
Yeah.
Krotch, give me your dream match that has never happened.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I've never been like there were, when I first started wrestling, there were a couple ones that I really wanted to get in there, but I mean, I was just kind of lucky to get a lot of them, because like I was a big indie fan once we really started getting into SCW and stuff. So I wanted to do some Jimmy Jacobs, and I wanted to get in there with Danny, and I don't know. I got most of those. Really, there's not many left that I would want to do. God. I've got a couple tag matches I really would like to happen. I did a 6-man tag once where I was tagging with Colt Cabana. I'd like to do just a regular tag with him because he's so hilarious. I would have a blast. I need that to happen. And then I also want to tag with Nate Webb at some point, just because I always love Spider Nate Webb.
Yes. Maybe in the future, right?
I mean, they're both still going.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, right? In the world of wrestling, anything's possible. But no, I love those answers, and I love that you said tag team matches, because my favorite thing about wrestling is tag team wrestling. That's what brought me to wrestling, watching tag teams and all the guys wearing the same colored, the pink and black with the Heart Foundation, the demos with the black and the spikes and all that. I loved all that as a kid. I still love tag teams as a kid. So I love those answers of Colt Cabana and Nate Webb. Those are great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not – so now I'm going to disappoint you a little bit. I'm not a huge tag guy, but, I mean, I wouldn't want to wrestle against them. It just seems much like it'd be a much more fun match for me and the audience if we just were doing a tag. So
absolutely. No, I love that answer. So many people say, oh, yeah, this person, but I love the tag route that you went there. And those are good combos. Those are styles make fights, as they say, and you tagging with them would just make it even better.
Oh yeah. I don't know who I'd want to like. I really just can't think of a lot of guys that I'd like want to wrestle against. Like, just be like, oh my god, if I could just do that, like. I don't know.
I mean, who's one guy you want to wrestle against that'll never happen? Whether it be like they're in their 70s or in their 80s now, or just it never would happen.
Oh, like if I could just do a time warp or just have control over the world? I don't know.
You can go back for a 20-minute match.
20 minutes? Ah, God, what are you doing to me?
Well,
can we do a fiver? Come on now.
Okay. Right. We'll go 10. How about 10? You give us 10?
No, let's do an Iron Man. Fuck it, I don't care. Whatever. No, I don't know. God.
If we're going back in time, you can wrestle as long as you want.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I'm trying to think it. I don't know. It's just weird. Like that was nothing that I ever really like. It was either a super attainable like match, so I just got to do it like for dream matches, or it was like like I would, if it's like, I would never want to actually wrestle Shawn Michaels. That'd be a nervous wreck. That'd be terrifying. It'd be a good match because Shawn could wrestle literally a hot pile of poop and it would still be a 5-star match. But like, I'd be so terrified. But I don't know. Maybe I should. I guess if I wasn't worried about, how good the match would be or how good I would do, I guess obviously, wrestling guys like Shawn and Rick, obviously everybody would probably never say no to wrestling Ric Flair because the man makes anybody look like $1 million. So.
Right. I love those answers. CZ.
So I've got something I want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about matches. We're talking about fantasy matches. Let's take off the fantasy cap. Put on like matches that you've had. One thing that I always love. I talked to Merrick about this last week. For me, when I was ring announcing, there was one night that was absolute magic. And I love that word. Krotch, tell us about one moment that you thought was one of the most magic moments in your career.
Oh, I don't think I have those. Let's see. What was? I mean, do you mean magic as in like everything's going right, or just this is awesome and I'm having a ton of fun? Because I don't know if I've had many of the first, but I've had a lot of fun.
Hey, whatever's magic to you. Hey, whatever works for you.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, my favorite moment in pro wrestling ever, I've told this story probably a few times here and there, but it's always worth telling again, is I don't remember what show it was, but it was one of Danny Daniels' big AEW shows, and he had Terry Funk on the show as a surprise guest. Like, he didn't announce him or anything. He actually had a couple bigger names that he did announce, but like he just gave him Funk as a surprise, which that's the genius of Danny Daniels. Like, he's just smart, like you come to a show because of this guy, but then you get Terry Funk just out of nowhere. So you're going to come to shows for a good long time after that. So, but anyway, Danny's genius. So Terry Funk comes to the show and does like a little promo, and Jimmy Jacobs comes out and calls him an old bitch and slaps him in the face. So there's some stuff happening there. Meanwhile, I had a match against, I don't know if you guys would have seen Ryan Boz at all. Like, does that name ring a bell?
Did he have, he was a big dude, correct?
Yeah.
Bleach blonde hair?
Yeah, until he got a little too bald. Sorry, Ram.
No. I do remember him.
Yeah, Boz was a big old dude.
Yeah.
He's a stud, and I got to have a match with him. And, that's a good little match because Boz is a big old dude, and I'm skinny little me. So it went well. It's a good little match. I lost, obviously, but that's great. We're in a good spot. And then later on in the night, Jimmy Jacobs was wrestling Eric Cannon for the Heritage title. Danny's kind of like Intercontinental title or whatever you'd want to call it. And so I come out and I demand that I want to be in the match, even though I've already had a match and blah, blah, blah. So Cannon and Jimmy, they figure I'm a joke, so they don't care. So they just let me in on it, and they're beating the living crap out of me and blah, blah, blah. Which already, like, that's great because, like, I get a lot of sympathy because I've already had a match against Boz, which, people knew that Boz, could kick the crap out of people. And then also I'm getting to wrestle with Eric Cannon and Jimmy Jacobs, who are both guys that, like, I was very lucky to get multiple matches with because I learned a lot from both of them. So we've got a great little match going. And it's at some point, I can't remember all the details, but I'm down, whatever. Jimmy's pretty much got it in the bag. And then Terry Funk comes out. And Funk was supposed to come out. He was going to come out. And he was going to sock Jimmy with the old Terry Funk left and blah, 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 right? But Funk comes into the ring. For whatever reason, kicks him in the gut, gives him a DDT. So Funk's taking a bump on this show for no reason at all other than he's Terry Funk and he's insane. So that's cool, right? And then he pulls me over on Jimmy, and I get the 3 count. And then after that, Terry Funk pulls me out of the ring. He's raising my hand, and I'm looking over, and I'm like, I'm getting my hand raised by Terry Funk. This is the coolest moment in my life. Terry Funk is awesome. How sweet is this? There's one problem, though. It's an elimination match. So the match is not over. So I lean over to Terry Funk, and I go, Terry, Terry, it's an elimination match. And he looks at me, he goes, what? I'm like, it's an elimination match. It's not one fall. And he just looks at me and like, so Terry Funk, badass dude, right? He's one of the toughest guys that pro wrestling's probably ever had and craziest. But sometimes when he gets to talking, like you can tell that he's actually kind of a sweetheart. And he gets that soft voice sometimes where it's just like, it kind of like is a weird dichotomy between like what he is in the ring most of the time and, you know, what he's acting like there. But yeah, so I say that to him, like, it's elimination. The match isn't over. And he's just like, well, shit, kid, you aren't eliminated yet, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not. And meanwhile, Cannon's all the way across the ring looking at me and like, what the hell's going on? What are you doing? So Funk's looking at me with my hand still raised, and I'm looking at him, and he's trying to figure out what the hell his exit's going to be or what the hell we're going to do. And he just goes, well, I'm going back to drink. And then he just put my hand down and walked off. And I'm like, all right, well, that was the greatest and weirdest moment in my life. So then I just ran back into the ring. Ken and I got back into it. But it was already an awesome moment. It was already going to be awesome. And then honestly, the fact that like everything got like a little funky in it made it even better. Because like I'm just sitting there looking at Terry Funk and he's looking at me and we're going, oh shit, what do we do now? You know?
And just think about that story, Krotch. How many other wrestlers are able to have a story like that? You know, that's a moment that you'll never get taken away from you. That'll never get taken from you. And I can't do a very good Terry Funk, but I could just, oh shit, kid, you're not eliminated. You know, I could just hear it, you know. So I'm sitting here smiling the whole time. I'm a big Funker fan, and you telling the story and the fact that it was an elimination match makes it even the best part. That's the icing on the cake.
Oh yeah, it's just great. I mean, Terry Funk's top 10 easily for me of all time, and he's so great. And like, I was just so like, Danny gave me a lot of stuff. Like, he really didn't have to. When I got into pro wrestling, like, I was below the bar. Like, if you were my size and you possessed my athletic ability, you were not supposed to be in pro wrestling. But like, I don't know. I worked hard, and Danny, like, he rewarded me far more than he should have. I got to do a lot of great stuff because of him.
I love it. That's tremendous.
That is just fantastic. I love that story. So we're gonna take another quick break here, and then we'll come back for just a few more minutes. Okay, guys?
Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
In addition to bringing fire on the mic, the team at 4Frequency Sake is still bringing it online as well. Check out 4FantasySakeQC.com this season for college DFS, Survivor League, and betting advice each and every week of this football season. Again, that is 4FantasySakeQC.com for college DFS, Survivor League, and betting advice each week during the football season.
We're back here, the home stretch with Krotch on Cards Subject to Change. Krotch is in studio here along with myself and CZ. And Krotch, we're going to close out here. We're going to talk about your next SCW Pro event coming up this coming Saturday, October 8th at the Walcott Coliseum. Paying customer, who should I be looking out for when I walk into that door come Saturday night?
Who should you be looking out for? Like what matches?
Who's the future? I'm talking about the future of SCW Pro. I know who Krotch is, and I know where Krotch is on the card. I want to know who these guys are, the trainers, the up-and-comers. Who are some of the young people I need to keep an eye
on? None of them. I ain't going anywhere, so they're going to be under my thumb until I leave.
Yeah.
Screw them.
Yes, that's the answer I want to hear. Yeah. I love it. No, I love it. That's the answer I want.
That's not true at all. No, I don't know. God, who's looking good? I'm trying to think of who's looking pretty good. I mean, Dustin Mosley's obviously. I mean, that one kind of goes without saying. He's looking great. He's working hard. Really, so he has some advantages that he's not like he wasn't like an 18-year-old kid when he walked in. So like that helped him kind of get ahead of the game a little bit. But just on even with that advantage, I mean, I don't even think he's into year 2 yet, and he's doing the kind of stuff he's doing in the ring now. So like he's looking great. He'll definitely make whatever he wants to have happen probably happen. I don't know. And there's a lot of guys that like, I mean, I guess I just kind of would think the obvious answers, obviously Dante Leon's killing it. He's, I mean, he's going to be gone on a Pro Wrestling Noah tour again before long. So, I mean, it was fantastic that they brought him in to begin with, but the fact that they want to keep having him back is even better. So, I mean, he's great. And I've never seen people do the things he does. So, he's got an attitude too. Like that's the thing. Like there's all these dudes. Oh, what was that, Chris?
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was just saying I've seen my fair share of his matches, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, I was saying he's got like an attitude to him too, which like. Even though like he does have some things that like I've not seen other guys capable of doing, there comes a point like, for a while there, Ricochet was doing stuff that nobody else was doing, but like some people can do Ricochet stuff now. So now what else are you other than just the guy that does the coolest stuff? So like Dante, on top of being able to be that guy, also has that he can walk into that ring with a chip on his shoulder and let you know that. And I mean, that's probably going to be the thing that really is going to seal the deal for him, making some good stuff happen. So he's great. I don't know. I mean, the guys that I would say you should watch for, you probably already know because they make themselves evident. Manders made it clear that he was a guy to watch. Jossie made it clear. JT Energy, all those guys, they let you know. They let you know that they're coming to take over. So, and they probably will. It's going to happen.
And you mentioned Manders. That's a good teaser for our show. We're having him on Tuesday with a bonus episode. I'm really excited about that too.
Well, that'd be great. Manders is great.
Let's talk about the event now on Saturday night.
Let me ask you one. Oh. No, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, no, you're good, bud.
I think I've got a little bit of a delay. You guys are a little bit after my questions. I just want to ask here before we wrap things up, how has being a trainer now changed your perspective from just being a wrestler and just being a fan?
I don't know. I don't know if there's been a change in perspective, like a serious change in perspective because of the training. I would say I feel like it's accelerated me getting better at pro wrestling. Just because I don't know, I don't know if I'm more immersed in it or I'm just thinking about it from a different angle, but it's definitely benefited me as far as, I mean, obviously I'm trying my best to help everybody, get themselves better, but it does in turn also get me a lot better too. Like really once 2015 hit, I can tell that there's just been a serious escalation as far as just me being able to put together matches that I like a lot more than like, just there's always just stuff that like you try to accomplish in a pro wrestling match that like maybe it was a little bit more difficult for me to figure out how to do, especially in the 2000s, but then even like the early 2010s, like I couldn't figure it out as well as I can now, and stuff that like I couldn't, figure out how to do back then, like now is nothing to me. And it's just, I think it's probably just the immersion, just being around it so much more and talking about it so much more. And then also just, having the opportunity to teach other people about it kind of makes me think about it more and then think about it differently.
Oh, for sure. So Krotch, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. We're happy to have you. Before we close out for the night, talk about the show on Saturday and where we can find you on social media.
Oh, I don't remember any of my social media names. I barely want to be on that stuff. God. So my MySpace was, I don't even remember my MySpace anymore. Well, that's sad. No, Twitter's at is it Krotch Mayday? I think Krotch with a K, because the educational system that I went to for public schooling was not good, because it's small town Iowa. And then it's Matt Mayday on Facebook. If you look that up, I'm sure you'll find me. And yeah, we got a big show coming up Saturday. Well, it's big for me, that's for sure. I don't always find myself in title matches, so it's gonna be an interesting challenge for me. Connor Braxton's the first graduate from the school, so he's certainly come into his own over the years. So I bet we'll have ourselves a pretty good little match. So I would definitely go if I were a wrestling fan within 100 miles, but maybe I'm biased.
So we could be looking at the classic teacher and pupil match on Saturday night.
Oh, maybe. It's weird though. It's not really. It's strange because it doesn't quite feel. I mean, I guess it does in a way, but also it's like, I don't know. We got a lot of there's a little bit of drama involved in it.
Oh, there absolutely is some drama, and there's some gold definitely involved. And anytime there's gold involved, you can add drama to the mix, and
there's been some theft of gold.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I've been a bit of a peckerhead.
I wasn't going to cast you in that light, Krotch. I was just going to say there was some gold involved, and it would all get sorted out Saturday night. But hey, if you want to be the peckerhead, then more power to you.
Well, it's just one of those things, right? Like you've got Connor Braxton, he's that classic, like jerk off that's just like, oh, he's got his little cronies. He's always there. There's all the shortcuts and all that stuff that that kind of guy is going to do in pro wrestling. So I figured, why don't I just do the same crap to him that he would do to me? And
Turnabout's fair play, right?
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to that match on Saturday night. I know there's also a full card. I know tickets probably still available at Walcott Coliseum. I call that the MSG of SCW Pro. That is. I love that venue. It's my favorite venue. You guys do.
Yeah, it feels like home.
Yeah, and fans are always out in full support at Walcott.
Oh yeah, we've been lucky, and wrestling's been in and out of popularity, but we've always managed to have people, that really want to show up and see what we do. And that was so when the first day of training, Danny asked us how long we want to wrestle or what our goals are in wrestling. And I'm not going to name names, but the majority of the guys that were in my class all said, oh, well, I want to make it to WWE and I want to wrestle forever. I want to be Ric Flair. And he asked me, and I was like, I just kind of want to do it as long as people cheer for me doing it. And when they stop doing that, I guess I'll probably be done. And I've been lucky enough that they keep doing that. So.
Hey, as fans, we're lucky enough to have you around and be able to enjoy your work.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Krotch, thank you for joining us. I know it's probably not the
agree.
And I wanted to thank you for joining us, Krotch. I know, a Sunday night's probably not the coolest place to be with two other 40-year-old dudes talking wrestling, but hey, we made it. We made it through.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not that far behind on House of Dragons, so you guys didn't cut into that too bad. So,
well, we're gonna cut you free so you can get to that.
All right, fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Krotch. All right, and that is going to wrap us up for this week. Definitely appreciate Matt Krotch Mayday coming on the show. What a fantastic interview that was. Just to wrap things up a bit, look for our bonus episode coming. We'll be recording Tuesday night with the one called Manders. And then we will be back next week talking about everything Extreme Rules from the WWE. For Nick Bull, I am CZ. You can find me on Twitter at TheWizardCZ. You can find my partner at NickBull55. The podcast is at CSTC Podcast. And you can find us on Facebook at Cards Subject to Change. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.